Trigger warnings and content advisory. Before you watch, please be advised that this video is a serious discussion regarding online safety and personal documentation. It contains explicit mentions and deep discussions of the following topics: peer exploitation and grooming, sexual harassment and assault, emotional neglect, substance use, mental health struggles. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This video is intended to raise awareness, share real documentation, and protect our community. If you are currently spiraling or sensitive to these topics, please prioritize your own mental well-being and stay safe. This video was put together by Nanapi and voiced by Zeke.
A rough childhood can explain a villain, but it never excuses one. Hurt people can choose to heal, or they can choose to destroy. The choice is always yours. Today, I want to talk about something heavy, but it's something that completely drains me. I'm talking about exploitation fatigue, or what you call compassion burnout. The sheer exhaustion of seeing the exact same cycle of manipulation repeat over and over again until you completely numb to it. As someone who has personally survived being taken advantage of over 10 times, putting this exhaustion into words is incredibly difficult. What is genuinely baffling to me is how terrifyingly common this has become nowadays. When I look around at my online circle, the vast majority of my close friends have been through some form of it too. It shouldn't be normal for an entire community or group of friends to share that exact same kind of trauma. A lot of people online try to deflect blame, so let's look at the actual reality of online dynamics. I want both my younger and adult audiences to really listen to this, because it's not just about me, but it is a reminder for how we interact as human beings. Let's talk about the cognitive ability of people who are 17, 18, or 19 years old. When you're reaching adulthood and you choose to interact with users who are 12, 13, 14, 15, or 16, you carry a massive responsibility. As the older person, you do not have to blindly agree with a small fry just because they initiate a conversation or match a certain energy. You are old enough to have the maturity to say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. Let's do something else instead. It is completely simple. Even if the small fry gets unhappy or throws a tantrum in the moment, you are establishing that firm boundary. You are establishing that firm boundary doesn't just protect your own life, it helps the small fry learn what safety looks like in the long run. But instead, too many people let the worst of their desires get to the best of them, and they just go along with it because it's convenient. Why choose to build a big platform or grow a creative career if you're just gonna throw it all away the second you're tempted? If a small fry is being pushed into an inappropriate dynamic with an older user, you absolutely, definitely should not engage. Blocking is always an option. It is right there on the screen. Every single media platform has it. When you choose to encourage that behavior instead of stopping it, the small fry doesn't just think it's morally okay, they carry that behavior over to the others, creating a terrible chain reaction. I'm not saying that being older means you instantly have everything figured out. I understand adulthood is messy, saying no can be incredibly difficult, and pressure happens. But you have to keep that boundary tight, because the second you choose to engage, you are stepping directly into serious, dangerous legal territory. Now, I need to talk about something incredibly serious regarding my friend Rio, who you all know as Nanapi. He's been a massive part of this channel, constantly helping out with Utao covers, MMD, and just sharing funny moments. He's basically the rock of this community, but I'm making this section to document what happened to him and raise awareness, because this shit happens way too often online. There is a person called Rurai, who is currently in their 20s. At the time this was happening, Rio was only 12, which makes the whole dynamic completely messed up. Rio has told me directly that he blocks out a lot of it because he doesn't want to remember, or he can't remember, and the original Discord server has since been deleted. But basically, Runae made a server, filled it with an absurd amount of explicit inappropriate bots, and pushed Rio into highly uncomfortable situations. Rio remembers Runae sharing his screen, scrolling through adult sites and looking for things for them to watch together. It was incredibly awkward, to the point where Rio was constantly trying to think of excuses just to leave the call. Runae would give him direct, explicit instructions during these calls. Rio was just trying to stay playful and match the energy because he didn't know how to handle it. But he was completely out of his depth. At one point, Rio literally messaged him saying he was only in his underclothing, and Runai replied with "good boy." It is deeply unsettling to look back on. Runai even shared his screen and straight up asks,
"Do you see anything you like, Rio?"
The screenshots from their history show exactly how this progression happened. If you look at the text evidence, you can see how his boundaries are completely ignored. You can see the shift from casual chat to highly inappropriate roleplay and messages. And eventually, the messages where Dunai apologizes, saying he never meant to make Rio disgusted. But an apology after the fact doesn't change what happened. I'm putting this out there because Rio gave me permission to share this story, and people need to realize how easily grooming and manipulation can happen under the guise of an online friendship. Now we're moving into part 3, which is the part of my story. I need to talk about Mel, how peers can exploit you, and the absolute lack of accountability that always seems to follow. People usually think of predators as strangers or much older adults, but the reality is that peers, people your own age, can inflict those exact same traumas. As documented in the malware log, Mel used her status, her platform, over 1,000 subscribers, and relentless pressure to force me into highly uncomfortable and non-consensual situations. It was textbook manipulation, and because of my past trauma, my brain went straight into a freeze and fawn response just to keep the peace. But what really makes me angry is the total lack of accountability. Every single person who has ever crossed my boundaries uses the exact same excuse, almost word for word: I have a shitty life. They claim that because they went through something terrible, it somehow gives them a pass to turn around and exploit someone else. When they get caught, they immediately flip the script, blaming the victim for their own issues and instability. And with Mel, she actively tried shifting the blame onto me when I didn't do anything at all. We can humanize someone and understand they had a rough background, but a rough background never justifies abuse. Law is law. If you possess and share material you know you shouldn't be touching, you are done for. Choose that path and no amount of deflecting changes the consequences. Yet, instead of caring about the human being they just hurt, they ever only care about their own reputation. They will do absolutely anything to shield themselves from being called out, even when they know exactly who they are behind closed doors. And that brings up a massive question I had to ask myself. I have been taken advantage of and hurt 10 separate times. According to the logic these people use, I have every right to be a villain. I have every excuse in the world to lash out and treat everyone terribly because of what's been done to me. But I don't. Why? Because being a survivor doesn't mean you pass the hurt along. You don't get a free pass to ruin other people's lives just because yours was hard. Let's talk about a psychological dynamic that is completely running rampant in online spaces: parentification and role reversal. Parentification happens when a child or a minor is forced to act as the emotional caregiver, counselor, or mediator for people who should damn well know better. I am no stranger to this. Before my mother passed away, I had to parent both of my parents. My mother has borderline personality disorder, BPD, and suffered from severe religious psychosis, meaning she frequently refused to prescribe medications. Dealing with that level of medical negligence at a home forced me into a state of forced hyper-independence from a very young age. But recently, I found myself trapped in that exact same exhausting script online. I was in a space that was supposed to be a casual kimono mimi community, who like animal-eared character designs or personas. Instead, I ended up having to parent 4 grown adults. Parent 4 grown adults that drink and smoke. Meanwhile, I was trying to handle my own stress. They projected a son dynamic onto me, while Mika willingly took the role of a mother figure, and her being my age, 16. But it wasn't a safe dynamic. Mika ended up repeating the exact same pattern as my real-life abusive mother. Extreme emotional neglect, combined with talking absolute shit behind my back in leaked vents. The breaking point came when these 4 adults as well in another server kept aggressively pinging me over a server situation. I completely snapped. I was exhausted, and suddenly everyone was fighting, panicking, and asking who made Zeke upset or who made Zeke mad. That entire situation is the exact reason why I have completely stopped looking for mother or father figures online. The only exception is the one adult mentor I actually feel safe around and trust. Someone who has a real-world job, responsibilities, and is willing to guide me without draining me. But honestly, finding someone like that online nowadays is shocking and very rare. This boundary issue ties directly on how people react when you are struggling. After breaking up with my exes, I went through intense hypersexual episodes, which is a well-documented survival mechanism for trauma survivors trying to regain control. I explicitly told these people I need to be soft right now, because I've always had to be the dominant one, the strong one, the person carrying everyone else's baggage. But they completely misread that and mistook my need for a safe, gentle space as an invitation to be an soft, submissive dynamic. Instead of supporting me through a mental health spiral, they encouraged me to engage in erotic roleplay, ERP. I ended up doing it with more than 5 different people, even more than that, purely because they desired it. I felt completely detached, blankly staring at my screen while performing a script again. Back then, crossing those lines or taking advantage of someone who was clearly spiraling would get you absolutely shamed. Now, it's actively encouraged. People see someone bleeding from trauma and see it as an opportunity. Worse are the people who wrap their control in a fake protective wrapper, saying shit like, "I don't want anyone touching you, you're mine." Or the deeply disgusting phrase, "When you're 18, we can." That is not protective, that is predatory conditioning. As a trans man, I want to address something highly specific happening within our community. I love my trans sisters, brothers, and non-binary peers. Trans women deserve an immense amount of protection, resources, and love, and I will always stand up for my sisters and queens. But we have to have a serious, uncomfortable conversation about how some online spaces are warping trans identities into caricatures. Lately, I've seen a pattern where people discover they are trans females and immediately their online persona shifts into a hypersexualized stereotype. They start aggressively calling themselves mommy, posting about wanting a chubby girlfriend with thick thighs, and celebrating that they can finally date girls because they're trans. These are people in my exact same age group. It reduces the profound, difficult reality of transition into what people call the Uwu Monster Blahaj Ultra Hill Soviet Union stereotype for trans femmes. Instead of the deep research on health, real identity, or realistic dysphoria management, some fall straight into the dangerous habits. Mal was the absolute blueprint for this. As detailed in the malware log, she created a private Goober server, filling it with toxic body subliminal logs to track extreme physical geometry and achieving and archiving fetishized material. What's incredibly damaging is how this mindset turns around and erases transgender identities as a whole. The amount of times trans people are labeled as femboys or pathetic puppies by their own community is infuriating. Mel did that to me constantly. She kept demanding to know if I was just a feminine male, completely erasing my masculinity because it didn't fit her pornographic script. The puppy boy and the puppy girl aesthetics are fine on their own, but people take my presence for granted. Because I'm a natural safe person for people, users treat me like an attention dispenser. They beg to be the center of my world, completely ignoring when I am busy, overwhelmed, or dealing with my own life. My first ex did this exact same thing. She completely isolated me from my teachers and peers because she was terrified I would cheat on her. I wouldn't have, I never will. But while she kept me isolated, causing my grades to drop so badly I had to repeat a school grade because I was forced to text her during classes, she ended up cheating on me, getting married and celebrating her life, leaving me in the dust straight after my suicide attempt. My attention was only convenient to her when she needed to consume it. It is terrifying how people only recognize the severity of their actions once they're forced into a corner. I don't make videos or document data because it's fun or because I love drama. I do it because it is my absolute final call for help. I'm a people pleaser by nature, and I am far too empathetic. People mistake my empathy for a total lack of teeth. When I am ignored after expressing a boundary, I get terrified because surviving this 10 separate times changes how your brain processes safety. When I publicly posted about Mika's behavior, she didn't change. I gave both her and her boyfriend Asher a whopping 74 days to fix their behavior. I explicitly gave them a second chance and said, please improve. They didn't. The moment I finally deleted the post to try and move on, Mika immediately became passive-aggressive, saying, just leave us alone, so I put the videos right back up. If you treat my patience as a weakness, I will let the documentary speak for itself. The exact same thing happened with Mel. Confronted, she told me I was lucky. She told me that I was lucky because I didn't go through what she went through. She claimed she had her first mental breakdown at 16. I had my first severe breakdown at 7 years old while living in this abusive, transphobic household. Then came the classic Darrow defense: denial, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Mel tried to argue,
but I didn't physically touch you,
proving her understanding of consent is completely broken. In her performative apology, she tried shifting the blame, claiming I was the one guilt-tripping her. Let's get the facts straight. I have never told someone to do this or I will cut myself. She said that. She said that to me. She claimed I wouldn't have posted the audit if she had just stayed, but that is a lie. I still would have posted it because accountability doesn't depend on whether you stick around or not. Her final desperate move was to try frame me by claiming I was older than her, and our age gap is actually 2 weeks. She rounded it off to the nearest month, but either way, Age can't excuse it, regardless if I'm older or younger. Her final desperate move was trying to frame me by claiming I was the one who assaulted her. She weaponized our genders, trying to construct a narrative of Zeke is a guy, Mal is a girl, so he must have been the predator. But the lie backfired immediately, because her screen recording showed 9 distinct cuts where she tampered with the evidence, all while she was actively hooking up with other people in the background. At the same time, she claimed she was too dissociated to speak to me. The hypocrisy is loud. Before I left Mika and Asher's server, the space was completely dead. The moment I joined, I brought energy and life to that server. I supported them, and I actively did the heavy lifting to help Mika and Asher start dating in the first place. It is sick to realize you are only valued as long as you are fueling their dynamic. And I want to be transparent. Am I guilty of engaging in ERP sometimes? Yes, I am. Those instances were fully consensual, occurring between my exes while I was actively broken and trying to process my own history of assault. And also the blindsiding, because I wasn't in a neutral state. The difference is that I'm actively fighting those coping mechanisms and trying to improve as a human being, from ERP, EI addiction, and hypersexuality. I have real-world responsibilities, taking care of my actual friends and finishing my education. I'm completely done letting people reduce me to a pathetic puppy for their own gratification. To close this out, let's look at what the actual research says about these behaviors. According to a comprehensive study at the National Center of Biotechnology Information, NCBI, the psychological impact of child-on-child sexual abuse, or COCSA, victims of peer-led abuse frequently experience severe fragmentation of trust, prolonged fawning responses, and deep identity confusion, because the harm comes from within their own age cohort. Furthermore, studies on parentification and emotional neglect from the American Psychological Association, APA, confirms that minors forced into caregiving roles for adults or unstable peers experience significantly higher rates of chronic stress, somatic flares, and relationship anxiety later in life. The data and studies don't lie, and neither do the logs. Mel's entire platform is completely gone, permanently banned from both YouTube and Discord because platform moderation recognized the reality of her actions. Her career was entirely self-destroyed because she chose not to keep it in her pants. To my younger audience, keep your boundaries completely locked down. Do not let anyone capitalize you on your vulnerability or dress up control as love. And don't lie about your age to someone. To my adult audience, remember the weight of your digital footprint and the immense responsibility you have to carry when interacting with youth. Accountability is not an invasion of privacy. It is the natural consequences of your own choices. I am keeping the people who actually value my humanity and others close to my heart. What's done is done. Before I completely close out this video as well, I want to leave everyone with a definite note of what community actually means. And I need to start speaking directly to my trans sisters. To all the trans femmes watching this in the world, I want to reassure you completely and utterly that you have my absolute unwavering support. Y'all are amazing, bruh. Seriously, you are strong as fuck. Transitioning in a world that constantly tries to police your existence, your joy, your safety that you all deserve, takes a level of resilience that is honestly breathtaking. You deserve the love, the resources, and the healthcare, and the real-world protection in the universe. As a trans man, I will always stand by your corner, shielding my sisters and my queens. The reason I speak so passionately about those hypersexualized internet stereotypes isn't to judge. It's because I want the world to see your full humanity. You are brilliant, complex, creative individuals. You deserve spaces built on real education, genuine sisterhood, and deep self-discovery. Because you are worth so much more than the flat caricatures the internet tries to reduce you to, never let anyone minimize your power or your value. You are a massive, irreplaceable part of this community and this earth. To my adult audience, you absolutely deserve your own spaces too. Adulthood is stressful, exhausting, and complex. Having dedicated spaces to unwind with your peers, discuss mature themes, and build your own creative circles is completely valid and necessary. The boundary is simple. Keep those mature spaces strictly among consenting adults. Protecting a minor doesn't mean your spaces shouldn't exist. To people who aren't ready for what's inside. And the creative communities I mentioned, whether you are part of the Kimono Mimi community, the puppy boy or puppy girl aesthetics, or any other niche fandom or community, if you are doing no harm creating your art, personas, etc., and using these spaces as a peaceful escape, you have my full solidarity. Fandom and community aesthetics can be incredibly fun, healing, and a great way to express yourself. The problem is never the aesthetic itself. The problem only arises when the individuals take those themes and weaponize them to cross personal boundaries. demand entitlement over someone else's time, or blur the lines of consent. And as it is June, let's use this month to remember what solidarity actually feels like. Happy Pride Month to every single one of you fighting just to exist safely in your own skin. If there is a definitive lesson to pull from all of this, it's that trauma is the baseline explanation for why people are broken, but it is never a permission slip to break others. True strength isn't measured by how much power you can exert over someone smaller than you. It's measured by your own willingness to hold your own reflection accountable, even when it hurts too. We don't heal by creating new victims, and we don't build a community by treating other human beings as placeholders for our own validation. Protect your peace, respect the boundaries of people around you, and remember that the energy you put out to the digital world eventually finds its way back to your door. Take care of yourselves, stay awesome, and make choices that your future self will definitely be proud of.